Open them. Yes. Open them. Open everything. Open everything. Open away. See the girl. Raise up your hand. See the girl. Where the girl killing here?
Welcome back, guys. I trust you've been staying safe. So what you saw covered with the black polythene at the beginning of this video are unfortunately the mortal remains of a very young level 300 student of the Uniport University in Nigeria, and she met this fate at the hands of her so-called level 400 boyfriend, who it turns out to be involved in ritual killings, as some will call it in that part of the country, Yahoo boy. This story is as fresh as 4 days ago and is still unfolding, but the details will surprise you, and it would inform young people especially not to follow the bliss, the glitz, and to appreciate the fact that not all that glitters is always gold, especially when it has to lead you back into the arms of an ex who flaunts around money, but you do not know how he gets to make that money. So it involves an unfortunate young lady by name Justina Nkang. Now, who was Justina Nkang? Justina Nkang was a student just at the level 300 studying biological chemistry, and she happened to be in a relationship with a level 400 student, both of them being at the University of Port Harcourt, River State, shortened to be pronounced as Uniport. Now, these guys were in a relationship. There were instances where they allegedly break up and they make up. They break up and they make up. Justina's boyfriend was called Damien Collins Chinameren Okoligwe, but he usually called himself Damien Collins, and he is actually a social media skit maker. He has history of making skits about campus life, relationships, and other stuff. But then, all of a sudden, this guy allegedly came into some funds and just relocated into a plush neighborhood whilst still a student on campus. And he reconnected again with Justina Nkang, his ex-girlfriend, after they had already broken up more than once. As it would turn out, Justina was also about to get out of school. Being at level 300, she had just 1 year left to wrap up. So she was actually taking steps to ensure that she was getting her academic life together to end successfully, whilst at the same time preparing to launch herself onto the job market. So she was taking a sort of attachment or internship with a hospital, and this was in the right sense. Justina would celebrate her birthday, but then, unfortunately, she would end up being reported missing just 3 days after celebrating her birthday. At this point, the search was on, because the last time anybody saw her was when she closed from the hospital where she had been interning. So, obviously, suspects would have to come up, because when somebody gets missing, usually the people in her close circles are going to be the first people to be questioned or checked on in case they have any information about the person's whereabouts, or in case they may have a hand in the person's disappearance. So, as was normal, this started. But I don't know if I should say fortunately or unfortunately, but at the point this had started, Damien, her ex-boyfriend, sometimes her substantive boyfriend, was not part of the people they were checking on. Because as far as Justina's friends knew, these guys had broken up. So he wasn't even considered as an option that people should check on or talk to with regards to the disappearance of Justina. So he was overlooked. And it will turn out that that would end up being the grave mistake that these people made. Because maybe, just maybe, if they had reached out to him earlier, or may they have checked up on him earlier, maybe Justina might still be alive. But as it will turn out, Justina will end up being declared missing and the search would start unraveling. Posters will be circulated on social media about Justina being missing, with numbers being left asking that people contact these numbers in case they find any information that relates to her. But then a source came and indicated that after Justina left her place of work, she actually told somebody that she was going to visit her boyfriend in a highbrow area in Port Harcourt. It was this tip that would eventually start leading people to Damian Collins's door, but that will still take some time. This source claimed that Justina's suspected boyfriend may have some information on what happened to her, so it would be imperative that they go and talk to him. Unknown to these people, they were actually heading into a crime scene. Because as it will turn out, Damian Collins, aka Damian Chinamerem Okoligwe, was also into his own thing. It turns out that this guy had actually unalived Justina in his apartment after she had come to spend quality time with him. She actually took some videos. This was when she was celebrating her birthday and all. And she allegedly came back, and for some reason, which is still yet to be officially established, Damian saw the need to unalive her in his room and had time to take off certain sensitive parts of her and allegedly travel out of that town with those sensitive private parts, including her internal organs, as reported. Now, he went somewhere we are yet to know with these parts and came back after some time, whilst the corpse was still in his apartment. Mind you, he lives alone, and this is more like a plush area of Port Harcourt, so he has his own apartment to himself. We are yet to establish where he took her parts to, but as it turns out, he actually came back. And when he came back, the headache he had now was with how he was going to dispose of what was left of Justina Nkang, his so-called girlfriend whom he claims to love. Fast forward, he made up a plan that he was going to dice her into bits and dispose of her gradually so as not to draw attention to himself. If you are not familiar with the methods of waste disposal here in some countries in Africa, unlike mostly in the Western world where there is this structured waste disposal or waste management system, here in Africa, some private individuals take it upon themselves to cut waste from residential areas by employing the services of mobile garbage men who sometimes use tricycles and sometimes walk on foot to come and pick garbage and walk to another central point to dispose of it for a fee. These guys are called aboki in the local dialect in Nigeria. So after Damian had diced her up into bits, he mixed pieces of her with his garbage, and then he contracted some of these aboki guys to come and cut her away. They thought they were cutting away garbage. Little did they know, they were actually helping to facilitate the disposal of a victim of this guy. But as fate will have it, this was also coinciding with the search for Justina. So the timelines were coinciding now. And again, as fate would also have it, it turns out that these Aboki men, when they pick your garbage, they don't just dispose of it. Instead, they also go through it. They mine through the garbage. They rummage through it, hoping to find something that might still be valuable to them at least, which they could make use of, because hey, one man's garbage could be another man's gold mine, you know. But as they were going through, they started finding pieces of meat, which initially they thought maybe it was sort of sheep or goat or cow beef or something that was going bad. But later they realized, no, this is awkward. This doesn't look like any other animal meat we've been seeing out there. They saw some suspicious parts and they raised an alarm. They were still within the estate premises, and at this point, the estate security joined the fray, and they returned back to the apartment of Damien Chinamerem Okoligwe, aka Damian Collins, only to find that there were still a substantial quantity left of Justina Nkang, yet to be mixed with garbage and disposed by him. At this point, the search party had also narrowed down to his location, and everything coincided with him being arrested. And from this point, the story even got crazier, because when he was arrested, Damian Collins is now claiming that he is not responsible for the death of Justina Nkang, his girlfriend, in his apartment. He is rather claiming that he doesn't know how her corpse got to his apartment, but when he came from town, somebody had unalived her and deposited her remains at his apartment. Yeah, that is his defense. And I think it's a whole lot of bullshit. Pardon my language, but I think this sums it up. How can you tell us this story? And when he was asked why he didn't report to the police even after coming to meet such a scene, he said he was scared that he would be the main suspect. Of course. But as someone would say, a likely story. Because I do not believe this. Now, the suspicion here is that this guy is already suspected to be a Yahoo boy, or a ritualist, so to speak. If you are not familiar with that concept, there are people who are suspected, young people for that matter, who are suspected to be involved in the trading of human parts for money. This is not about, say, a kidney, a heart, or a lung or something. No. Talking about spiritual money. Money that is charmed or sort of concocted by a traditional priest who does so in exchange for human parts. And mostly victims of these are unfortunately women. This is a phenomenon that is very old in the annals of African history and is alleged to be still ongoing in various forms. So Damien is suspected to be one of the people who subscribe to this practice, and these people usually have very powerful spiritualists backing them, who are the ones who take the parts and then do whatever charms they have to do, and then suddenly the person who brought these human parts will begin to get huge sums of wealth. Yeah, that is how it works. So instead of this guy focusing on his degree, he's at level 400. Instead of focusing on it, this is what he's alleged to be engaged in, to the point as to how come he can even afford that plush apartment. This case is still ongoing, but after these things came out, it also sparked some controversy because people were divided. There are some who are actually blaming the victim, Justina Nkang, because according to them, she knew what this guy was into. She knew that he's a Yahoo boy. she knew that this guy was making his money illegitimately through a dubious and fraudulent means. As to whether she actually knew that he was making human sacrifices to make his money, that has not been established. But the rumor out there is that she knew this guy was into some shady stuff, but she was actually enjoying the world, thinking that it had nothing to do with her safety or well-being, only to find out in the worst way that she was going to be the next catalyst that will fuel his lavish lifestyle and spiritual money funding. That is the first concept out there. To the point somebody actually came to comment that he doesn't pity the victim, and that most young ladies of today, especially in Africa, are not ready to do what they need to do to work hard and earn their own money, but they are rather ready to just sit down and enjoy illicitly acquired funds from guys who are breaking the law, committing fraud, and engaging in scams like this, only to later fall victim. And as such, this person is saying he or she doesn't pity the victim. I don't know. I think that is too harsh. A life has been lost, especially at the point where we can't even establish whether she actually knew or not. I think it is respectful to the dead to just show some respect for their loss. My heart goes out to the family of Justina Nkang, and even to the family of Damien Chinamerem or Damian Collins, because, well, we don't know if they knew what this guy was doing. But if they didn't, the family of this guy will also go through a very serious traumatic situation, because that tag will stick on them. And to this point, Damien Chimamerem has still not even been able to disclose where he took those parts, or if he even took those bodily parts at all, and where he took them, and also why he even unalived Justina Nkang in the first place. Because he's denying he did it. He's denying that he didn't do this and that he came to meet the cops. This is going to be one of those crazy ones. I'm sure at a point, the police may have a way of getting this guy to admit, or at a point, they may throw out his defense, because the fact that you are saying you didn't do it, I don't think it will just stand as that, especially if everything points to the fact that you did it and you've even done more to the remains of Justina Nkang after she passed on. So this guy, I don't think he's going to beat this case. I think he's going to go through hell. But it's unfortunate that femicide is going on at this rapid rate. If you go through my playlist, you will see a number of videos where females are getting treated in this manner or in similar forms of it, especially in Nigeria. And it is very unfortunate. I think that it's about time that the females, especially in that country, become more careful, because some of these boys out there, or some of these guys out there, they could give you a very great time, but also to set you up to let your guard down, and then they will now use you to facilitate whatever was getting them that money. So in effect, they invested in you just to take your life. And I don't think it's worth it. We are in an era where women are equally capable. Women are even sometimes more capable than some men, and are able to work hard and earn their keep, such that I don't see why a woman should be blown away just because a guy is throwing away some money or throwing some money at her. I think your worth should go beyond that money. You should work to earn your keep and protect your value and your dignity, and such scams will not catch up with you. It wouldn't sway you in any way. I think that is the best way to go, because if you look at these flashy things, by the time you know that all that glitters is not good, unfortunately, it might be too late, as unfortunately has happened to Justina Nkang. She was just 1 year away from completing her university education. The sky could have been her limit, but this beast allegedly has taken the life and just shattered the dreams and the hearts of her family and her loved ones. We are following this case. As and when updates are due, we are going to bring them to you. But what do you think this is? You think this is a case of a greedy girl getting caught up in a situation where she's bitten off more than she can chew? Or this is a case of a lady who was just in love and didn't know her husband, her fiancé, could do this to her? Let me know what you think in the comment section, but just go to the comment section and type a quick RIP to Justina and hashtag justice for Justina, so we help commiserate with the family and push the cause to gain justice for Justina. Like I always say, there are a lot of dangerous people out there. Stay safe, keep an eye out. A little bit of paranoia never hurts anybody, but it could go a long way to protect you. Subscribe if you are yet to do so. Turn on the post notifications. I'll catch you in the next one.